clunky, old-style wheelchair in and out of your car. Introducing the Feather Chair Wheelchair. At 13 pounds, it's the world's lightest wheelchair. It folds in seconds and fits neatly in your trunk, backseat, or closet, so you can take it everywhere. And it's only available right here. Order yours today and get a free wheelchair case, a $50 value, yours free. The Feather Chair. The world's lightest wheelchair is just $4.99 with easy payments as low as $16 a month. Sorry, no Medicare or insurance accepted. So call right now to order yours.
800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. That's 800-823-5826.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
To be wild.
Hello, Diana.
Hello.
Welcome back, everyone, to another wonderful episode of Texas Wild with Ryan Prigmore, Adventures from the Fire. And tonight, we have a wonderful show coming up for you about Brazos River Adventures. We have the proprietor of the Brazos Outdoor Center coming in tonight to discuss with us Brazos River Adventures and owning, working, living on a campground on the river. And it's going to be quite an interesting story once she gets here. But unfortunately, as of now, she's a little bit late. So on the fly, we're going to discuss one of my favorite topics just to kind of pass the time until Miss Lisa gets here. And what we're going to talk about is geocaching. Have you ever heard of it?
I'd heard the name. I didn't really know what it was until you brought it up, and now I have learned a little bit via the internet.
Let's break it down for just a second. I like breaking things down. It takes up time, and when I got a lot of time to talk, I need to break things down. Geocaching is it's basically a treasure hunt that everybody can get in on. And if anybody knows me, the one thing I like talking about, no matter what, you could wake me up in the middle of the night, dead asleep, drunk, stoned, I don't care. You could wake me up and say, hey, you want to talk about treasure? Yep, I sure do. So geocaching is it's a treasure hunt that anyone can get in on, adult or child, doesn't matter. And they're hidden literally everywhere. And they're in plain sight. They're in public. It's cool.
There's even some underwater I found out today.
Yeah, there's diver geocaches that only divers can find, or people that can hold their breath for a really long time. But we don't do that, do we? We don't hold our breath. That's the main thing in scuba diving, isn't it? Don't hold your breath.
Never hold your breath.
That's right. And why?
Lung overexpansion.
You're gonna make your lungs explode.
Yep.
Can't have that. We can't have that. We just can't have that. It sure would. It sure would. You know, normally I would throw in a joke right there, but I'm just not holding my breath for it. But anyway, geocaching. There's this website, this app that you can download. Let's get into the basics of geocaching. Geocaching is an exciting outdoor activity that combines the joy of hiking with the thrill of a treasure hunt. So sometimes it involves a little bit of an actual hunt. You know, you got to get out there. You got to beat your feet. You got to find it. I mean, that's what it's all about, right?
So funny. Pokemon Go does this too. Just saying.
Pokemon Go?
Yes.
Okay. So I was talking with somebody. Let's talk about that for a second. I was talking with somebody else the other day about the whole Pokemon Go thing and the Pokemon game and the Pokemon cards and the Pokemon show and the Pokemon. Is Pokemon Go Pokemon hunting?
Yes.
It is? Okay. I was talking with somebody else about it the other day, and I remember when I was in grade school and junior high and high school, Pokemon wasn't a thing.
No,
up until my grade, nobody in a grade I was in or above knew anything about Pokemon or was even remotely interested in
believe
it.
it was created in 91, the year before I was born.
So I would have been in the first grade, but I'd never heard of it, right?
Well, it didn't
But
start in America, so
was
it took a little while to get over here. Not long, but
it was grades that were lower than me, like
yes,
third, second, first. Those were the people that were interested in it, and it was always something that like I saw people being involved in, but nobody I knew or nobody above me it wasn't something they got into. But now, they got this entire generation of people who are now in their 30s who still. I mean, I never got it. I never understood the allure.
Well, I mean, even I didn't do a whole lot of Pokemon growing up.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I saw the cartoon once or twice. We just randomly had a Nintendo game that was Pokemon,
right.
but it wasn't one that we searched out. It came with the Nintendo. So I didn't do much Pokemon growing up, but for me, it was actually in college that it actually, whenever I was in college was when Pokemon Go came out.
Magic the Gathering was the thing that
one's still
people
popular.
I knew were into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that
and I played that one briefly. Like I bought, the Magic cards, and I had Magic battles with my brothers, and I never went to like a tournament or anything like that. But and to this day, I still don't think I was even playing it right.
Yeah, I've never gotten into any of the card games, so I don't really know much about that. I'm kind of known as not a gamer of any sort.
We had a Sega Genesis when I was a kid. That was as advanced as it got. We started with the Atari.
Yeah, well, me and my sister had an N64, and we didn't even get that firsthand. We got that at a garage sale, I think.
Right.
And so my brother's 12 years younger than me. He grew up with a little bit more. We got a Wii whenever he was a child. So it was interesting jumping from N64 to Wii.
Right. So geocaching.
Yes.
The treasure hunt that anyone can get in on. And that's kind of like the Pokemon Go thing where you're hunting Pokemon, right?
Yeah, and that's why I brought it up. It's actually very similar. You have to go to different locations in order to accomplish quest and to find a treasure. It's the rare Pokemon or just high level Pokemon that they're able to find, and you travel around all these different locations. There's actually, sitting here in the studio, there's 2 different gyms that I can hit, so I can either take gyms over or I can put my Pokemon in gyms. And
I don't get it. I don't understand I know what a Pokemon looks like, I guess, but I don't understand what the show is about or the Pokemon itself is about or why you hunt them or why you have to catch them all. I don't get it, but that's neither here nor there.
But yeah, just it's the same. It has you going outside, has you traveling
searching,
different places, hunting,
adventuring,
hunting for your treasure, whatever it may be.
Right. I remember I was in Dallas one night and I stopped and I pulled up next to a black Tahoe that was parked in the middle of a road in a turning lane, lights off, everything. I pulled up. I said, "Do y'all need help?" Because I used to run a mobile mechanic business. I had a truck full of tools. You got a flat. You broke down, and I can help you. No, we're just Pokemon hunting. Oh, okay.
Yeah, cops will come up to you in parks. I've definitely had some cops come up to me in parks and just check to see what you're doing. And as soon as you hold up your phone, they just laugh. They're so used to it.
Pokemon hunting.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I get it. Some people are into it. It's just not something I was ever exposed
I mean, like
to,
I said, I started in college with friends. I went to college in a very small town. We did not have a lot of
GPS
options.
technology?
Yes.
It does?
Yes, it does.
Much like geocaching is a global game of seeking hidden items known as geocaches that uses GPS technology to lead you to it. But I had something in my mouth, couldn't get it out. With the Pokemon thing, you're being directed to it by like something on your phone, right?
Yes. Yeah, you're just looking at a GPS on your phone basically, and it's telling you where to go.
Right. With geocaching, you can use your phone, but there's certain little tricks of the trade that you can do to make your location accuracy a little bit better. Like you can turn off your cell tower accuracy and go by strictly GPS.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And they say you want to get like a Garmin handheld. I don't know if you remember when Shane Davies was on my show. The very first show we did was about the River Run Guide service. Mm-hmm. And Shane Davies, River Run Guide, was on talking about the GPS unit he uses. I forget what he said. I know it was a Garmin, but it was a Garmin. I'm just drawing a blank. I knew what it was because I was going to get one, but I forgot what it is now. But they say you want to have one of those to like pinpoint accuracy.
I'm almost positive that my parents still do. My parents and my grandparents also were into the Garmin before GPSs on phones were a thing. I was actually talking to someone about it the other day. My dad had one of the like Dracula voices telling us our directions. It was
Blah.
horrible and great.
Well, what was I talking about?
Geocaching.
Oh,
So
the Garmin GPS. Yeah.
the Garmin will help
'Cause
you.
it's
with
like
your
we were
accuracy.
talking about last week. When you're out there looking for treasure, like Forrest Finn's treasure, you have to search everything you see.
Yeah.
With the geocaching, with the pinpoint level of accuracy that you can get with like a Garmin, you still have to search everything you see because it's hidden somewhere in plain sight. You actually have to search everything you see because you could miss it that quick. It's like when we're diving underwater for something small like a wedding ring, miss it by an inch, miss it by a mile. Different situation on land because you can actually see what the hell you're doing. So it's a huge difference. There's actually a full beginner's guide that you can download on the internet that'll introduce you to the world of geocaching, covering everything from the basics of finding a cache to the etiquette of the geocaching community in such instances as put it back where you find it, right?
Yes.
Put it back exactly how you found it. And from what I understand, you can take a trinket out. The cache itself, the treasure that's in the cache itself, can be anything from
cash as in CACHE, not cash money.
Yeah, well, it could be cash. It could be pocket change. It could be some neat rocks. It could be trinkets. It could be a rubber duck. It could be, it could be anything. If there's something in
and it could also be nothing. It's very much an honor system.
Right.
That if you take a trinket, leave a trinket. But
you
it
can
could
take
be
something
a new
out if it strikes your
geocache.
fancy, but you got to put something back. Which is to say that I'll be carrying around like a double-sided nickel and a rubber ear in my pocket just in case I happen upon something I like.
A few options.
Yeah, I mean, there's no rules as to what you can or can't take. You just have to make sure you put something back
of equal or more value.
Right, of equal or better value. I mean, you don't want to trade a hair tie for a rubber duck, or you don't want to trade, you want to make it fair for everybody involved, right?
Exactly.
Right. So obviously, if you wanted to get on and do this thing online, the first thing you need to do is get on, create an account, and begin by creating a free account on geocaching.com, which is the central hub for geocachers worldwide. And then you download the app. It's a mobile app, which is a vital tool for navigating to the caches. And then you choose your first cache. Start with a cache that has a lower difficulty and terrain rating to ease into the activity, because you don't want to you're not trying to climb a mountain here for a trinket. You know what I'm saying?
That's pretty cool. I hadn't looked far enough in to realize that they had difficulty ratings.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So you don't want to get in over your head and get totally discouraged from it because you couldn't find it. There are a lot of what they call DNF caches, which are did not find.
Oh yeah.
They're hidden so well that, whoever went hunting for it, it wasn't in the cards. They couldn't find it.
There is a rule that you're not supposed to bury them.
You're not supposed to bury them?
No, you're not.
Well, that kind of ruins the whole idea of putting the treasure on a geocache website. The treasure we're going to do this summer.
Oh yeah, you're not supposed to bury it for geocaching.
That sucks. But I have seen some of them that are incredibly inventive on how they're hidden. Like the little caps on the top of a fence pole. And there's other ones where you have to move this thing and then this thing opens and you have to open this thing to open that thing to locate it.
Doors.
Yeah. It's just people get very inventive and very creative with how they hide these things. And it's really cool. It is fun. It makes it fun. The sort of equipment that you would need to get in on geocaching and to get out and about and finding these things would be, like we said, a GPS device, a Garmin GPS device or better, a smartphone, some sort of a GPS enabled mobile device, which will be essential for navigating to the different locations, because that's where you're going to find it is on the app, of course. And then you're going to need a pen or pencil. Bring your own pen or pencil for signing the logbook. There's a logbook in each one. You put your username from the app in the logbook and just mention, hey, I was here, I found this. And then the trinkets in the cache that you can trade, they're called swag items. You know what swag stands for? Stuff we all get. These items are small trinkets or items that you can exchange with those in the cache. Oh, my goodness. It looks like Mrs. Lisa Bayne is here from the Brazos Outdoor Center to discuss. Can you shut the door for me, please? To discuss the Brazos Outdoor Center and various Brazos outdoor adventures that can be had at the Brazos Outdoor Center. They have camping, they have kayaking, they have a shuttle service that takes you upriver and drops you off. Go ahead and put the headphones on. It takes you upriver and drops you off, and then you kayak into the Brazos Outdoor Center. At the end of the trip, you wind up back at your campground where you started from, don't you?
Yes, on a couple of our options.
Right.
We have a couple of put-ins upriver from us where you would paddle down and get out where we are.
What are the distances on each one of those?
We have one that's 15 miles upstream from us.
15 miles.
15. Mm-hmm.
That's a whole day, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, we've had some guys do it 7-8 hours. They were paddling pretty hard.
Have you ever had any that started at the 15-mile mark and then camped overnight on the way down?
Yes, a few. Yeah.
Is that one that y'all encourage?
Yeah, it's pretty popular because there's lots of good sandbars and places to camp along the river.
Right.
A lot of guys will spend 2 or 3 days fishing, come back to us.
We haven't had a whole lot of rain lately, so it's not as if, there's going to be a huge flood coming down the river that could make that a perilous adventure.
True. And, some of that section, you may have to get out and walk your boat a little bit next to you.
Or drag it.
Yeah, usually you don't have to drag too much, but on the 15 mile, there are some lower sections, like the 5.5 mile. We also have a 5.5 mile put in. That one tends to have good flow, even when the river is at its lowest. At least the last 2 miles are paddleable always.
Right on.
The first part, you may have to get out and walk a little bit, but it's perfect if you're wanting to spend a few days on the river, spend some time fishing, not so much time paddling so hard, And then we do have a couple of takeouts downstream from us.
No kidding. I didn't know that.
One 8.5 miles down, another 15 miles down at Brazos Point, and we've actually had people go all the way to Ham Creek before.
Are those the ones that start at your place?
You can start our place, or of course you could also start upriver, go past us.
And do a 20-mile trip.
Yes, we had a scouting adventure group who came, and they did that. We put them in the 15-mile upriver. They paddled down, camped at our place overnight.
That's perfect.
Got up, had breakfast, then put in and went down to the 15 mile, and we picked them up and brought them back. They had t-shirts made. They were pretty stoked to do 30 miles on the river in 2 days. Yeah.
That's quite an accomplishment.
They were tuckered, but they had fun.
30 miles by the water is a long way.
Yeah.
Especially if you're self-propelling the whole time.
Right. Like walking on your hands for 30 miles, right?
Long time.
Yeah.
That's an arm day weekend.
It is, for sure.
So tell us a little bit about your campground and where it is, why you do what you do, and what sort of experiences you've had in this line of work.
Yeah, so we're located right on the Brazos River in Rainbow, Texas. We're just about 5 miles north of Glen Rose. We're right where the Highway 67 bridge crosses the river. So we are frontage with the highway. So if you look down as you go over the bridge, you see a little place to the left. That's us. We have now a highway sign, so we're a little more visible.
Perfect.
Just under 3 acres. We're a small property, but we are one of the very few places in our area that is a campground and a river concession also. So we do kayak canoe rentals, tubing. We have RV sites. We have some primitive camping by the river. And then we have restrooms and showers. We have a little general store. We sell live bait, minnows, ice drink, snacks.
It's a cute little general store. I enjoyed being in there.
Yeah. So
that's right. We were down there together not 2 months ago, weren't we?
Yeah, not too long.
Yeah. We stopped and hung out with Brian for an afternoon.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. So so we have a little bit, I think we're a unique property in our area that we offer all of those things in one location.
I'm one of the few people who remembers what that place looked like before y'all bought it.
Yes, you were one of our first campers
I
there
sure
too.
was.
Yep. And yes, it was a jungle when we bought it. It had been abandoned for 30 or 40 years, just overgrown, full of those big thorny briars.
Oh, the thorns on that place must have been a half-inch thick.
Yeah, it was something.
They'd been allowed to grow unchecked for 50 years.
You couldn't walk without. You had to wear boots and jeans because you'd be your legs would be just all cut up from.
Did y'all
thorns.
come across a lot of snakes when y'all were clearing it out?
Yes, more than I want to.
What kind?
I think about copperheads.
A lot of copperheads.
Yeah, and now we don't see them really anymore because
I've never seen one at your place, not once.
Oh yeah, the first time we ever camped when we bought the place and it was still overgrown, we decided for Valentine's Day because we bought it like in January. In February, we would go camp. So we took our truck, we just kind of 4-wheeled in, took out a little lawnmower, mowed a little space, put up a little tent, and all the jungle was around us, and built a little fire, had our dog with us, and spent the night there. And so only later when I realized how much wildlife was around us, so to speak,
quite
spiders
a lot.
and snakes. Yeah, that I was like, holy cow, I can't believe I did that. But we had a nice time. Get a big fire, everything stays away.
Let me ask you about something I like to ask every proprietor of every business on the Brazos River: cryptids.
Cryptids. What is
Yes. Have you ever seen anything, any mythical creatures that have you ever
Oh.
seen or heard anything that no one would believe?
that? I have not. We've heard about a white deer.
Really?
Supposedly
An
it's been
albino
seen on-
deer.
that's I've heard people talk about one being in that area, but I haven't seen it myself.
Seems I had a dream about that recently. That's weird you mention it.
Really?
Mhm.
Oh wow.
I'm having deja vu, or maybe even a touch of jamais vu, which is the opposite of being here and having done this 100 times and no memory of it at all. But I'm having some sort of a memory about a white deer on the river.
Really?
It's the strangest thing.
Yeah, interesting. But I have not seen any myself. But my job there is primarily I'm more administrative, so I'm mostly up in the front. I'm
Yeah.
not down in the river like
Yeah, more
Brian
inside.
does more of the boating and go driving and shuttling people, so he has a little more experience with that sort of stuff. Although when we first bought the place, we were we basically sat out by our fire every night. So lots of coyotes and lots of stuff like that.
Right on.
And we sit out there and listen to them. And
Now,
look at
do
the
y'all
stars.
live at the property, or do you have another place where you live and you run the property?
No, we live there.
Oh, I see. I didn't know that. You
We
learn
do.
something new every time y'all come on the show.
Yeah, we do. So it's our full-time residence now. It wasn't at first. We would just come out on the weekends, work, and go back. We had regular jobs,
Right on.
But
Now this is a full-time job.
circumstances change, yes, and so now it is a full-time job. So it's
You enjoy
really
it?
a luxury. Yeah, I do.
So, do you get down there in the river at all? Do you go fishing? Do you go swimming? Do you go arrowhead hunting?
I
Dinosaur track
I don't
hunting?
as much as I used to. Now I do like to go in there and poke around, look for rocks and fossils and stuff like that. And
Do you own
fish.
do you own a rock tumbler?
We do own a
Right
rock
on.
tumbler.
I got one recently.
Yes. Do you? Yeah, it's fun, right? It's
Oh, yeah.
amazing how they turn out
Absolutely.
so beautifully. Yes.
The one that you find in the river, you have to get it wet to know what it's going to look like when it's
Right.
and
Yeah.
what I like to do is turn on the flashlight on my phone, and then I'll put the rock on the light and see if it's some sort of crystal, if I can see through it,
Oh,
because
right.
it always shows a different design when you shine a light through
Yeah.
it.
Oh yeah,
I love
definitely.
that. I love how
So-
it's so different.
And it's funny you bring that up because we have a gentleman who is one of our full-time RVers who lives
Mhm.
there, who also makes jewelry, and he makes jewelry from dinosaur bone, which
No
we
kidding.
are, which we are
That's-
now selling in our general store.
Dinosaur bone?
Dinosaur bone.
Y'all have
And
dinosaur bones in the river?
you can buy the dinosaur bone.
Oh, no
And
kidding.
I never was
didn't know
not
that.
aware of this. And he does make jewelry out of other stones as well. He has some really beautiful like river quartz and a thing called corydite, this like purple stone. But the dinosaur bone stuff is really cool. If you shine a light through the back of it, you can see through it. So he's made all kinds of
That's so
pendants and
freaking
rings
cool.
and things. So now we're offering
Wow.
that in our store.
I want
So
to come and see some of
Yeah,
it
Yeah,
next
we'll
time
have
I'm
to go
down
check
there.
that out for sure.
Definitely.
he's done some really nice work. They're really nice pieces. So we're excited to kind of start a trend, hopefully, in dinosaur bone.
I think you may well be doing just that.
Yeah, I
Now,
hope so.
you're right down next to the Dinosaur Valley State Park,
Yes.
which is a huge attraction right in Glen Rose, Texas.
Mhm.
That is it's the largest collection of actual dinosaur tracks in Texas,
Yes,
isn't it?
and well worth going to see.
Absolutely it is.
really.
Now, being so close to that place, I mean, dinosaurs had to have roamed in the river where you are. Have you seen any dinosaur tracks? Have you seen any?
Well, we
Think-
think we have. Yeah, Brian usually will show people there's a rock. It looks like there's a dinosaur foot in there. Truthfully have to have someone come totally verify it.
Like a
but-
paleontologist?
Mhm, and we did have some kids who found a claw in the river, and they did have it verified, and they did say that it was a dinosaur claw. So,
Oh,
No
that's
kidding.
so there
awesome.
is stuff out there.
That is really cool.
And
See,
then we've had we had these ladies find this really amazing spear tip on a little trip. She was
Oh,
so
Like a-
stoked,
like
just about
a-
the size of a Coke can. Like it's a big,
wow.
really nice. And and we also had a Boy Scout find a really good arrowhead out there too. And even Brian tried to buy it from him. The kid was like, "No way."
I have
Giving
found
it up.
I have found countless arrowheads on the river, up and down the river.
Yeah.
I won't say I've been all up and down the river to the Gulf, but I know that river probably as well as anyone can know a river.
Yeah.
And I have a box of arrowheads at home that I've found throughout my life up and down that river.
Yeah,
But I've never been fortunate enough to find a spear tip in the river. And can you
I'll
imagine?
just show you the picture. Brian has the photograph of it.
Can you imagine the thoughts that went through that native's head when
Yeah.
he's hungry
lost
or
it.
he's trying to feed his kid or something and throws his spear and then pulls the spear back and the tip's gone. There's a lot of work that went into making that
No
tip.
kidding, right?
And the fact that he didn't tie it on well enough or he made it through a piece of brittle flint that it just snapped off.
Yeah.
Man, can you imagine the heartbreak?
Yeah.
You got to sit down and make another one.
Right.
How long is that going to take? If you're hungry, it better not take very long. But anyway, I've never been lucky enough to find a spear tip. So for those people to find one, that's a rare find. I
Yeah.
mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And they're worth a lot of money too. But they also say you're not supposed to take it. You're supposed to
Yeah.
turn it in to the local archaeological society. I guess that would be the city of Glenrose or
so.
well, you're in an unincorporated area of the county, aren't you?
We are.
So I guess there wouldn't be really a society or anyone to turn it into. But I would definitely want to, find out who made it, what tribe it was likely made by, or what time period it was from, things like that. But then you'd probably lose it.
Yeah, I wish we had kept in contact with her to find out if she had found out any more about it after she took it.
Yeah. Brian didn't try to buy that one.
I don't remember. He probably tried to.
For those of you out there who listen regularly, Lisa's husband Brian was on the show a couple of weeks ago to discuss this same topic, and he was due in tonight, but unfortunately he was stuck in Granbury with an unforeseen prior engagement and couldn't make it in. He sent Lisa in to save the day. We're very thankful that you came in to keep us on track tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Spontaneous. Just go for it.
So what did y'all do before you picked up the campground? We got about a minute and 50 seconds to talk about it.
Well, Brian, when I first met him, Brian was worked in aerospace, worked for like Vought.
Yeah.
Aircraft.
Oh, I remember him telling me about that.
And then he had real estate property, and I was a Bikram yoga instructor.
Really?
Oh.
She's actually a belly dancer.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah. And before that, my family used to own a cosmetology school in Duncanville and near Dallas.
Cool.
And so I worked for them for years. I was like their financial aid administrator and that sort of stuff. And then I ended up becoming a yoga teacher, and I did that full time for 7 years until I shifted to here.
Did you ever in your wildest dreams imagine that you would ever be a camp host on the Brazos River?
No, but I did have a psychic tell me once that after I met Brian that we would end up living in an unusual location. So I think a campground kind of qualifies.
Is that an unusual location? I guess when you moved there, it was really unusual looking, wasn't it?
If you had ever told me, that I'd be living in a campground full time.
Down by the river.
That's right. Living in a van down by
the
river.
Back then, that wasn't a life goal. Now it is.
Now it is.
People buying tough sheds at Home Depot and turning them into tiny houses because the state of the local rent is just unattainable.
So we're living the dream for a lot of people.
I mean, that's not a bad way to live.
It's not. We're very grateful.
I quite enjoy it.
We're fortunate.
Oh man, I've got this old ambulance full of dive gear and tools that I used to do a lot of camping out of. And let me tell you, my favorite thing in the world is to drive that thing down to the river, park it by the banks, get out, make a cup of coffee.
I know.
Well, we're going to let you go for just a minute. We're going to have a few commercials, pay a few bills, and we'll be back in just a bit.
If you're trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
Joco Community Radio. Listen live at jococommunityradio.com.
Born to be wild.
Joco Community Radio is proud to be the voice of Johnson County, Texas, and is live 24/7 on the TuneIn Radio Network. TuneInJoco.com is a place to find all the ways to listen and watch, and the station app is also available for free on Android and Apple devices. Simply search your store. Check out our lineup and more at JocoCommunityRadio.com. This episode more brought to you by Next Level Claims, making your insurance work for you. Reach out to your Texas sales rep at 844-839-4245. That's 839-4245. And be sure to dress your arms and more at thetiffy.com. All right, Lisa. Welcome back to the studio.
Oh, thank you.
So we were just talking during the break about some crazy stuff that happens along your property on the river. I remember once upon a time, long time ago, I was down there with some friends, and I saw a gold blazer that entered the river from the easement next door, the Texas State easement.
Yeah.
It's I guess that's an old boat ramp or something. I don't know. It's underneath the highway.
Right. Yeah. It's owned by TxDOT, and they use it actually for practicing. I'm trying to turn this off. Practicing water rescue
Really?
with the airboat. Yeah, like the county comes down there.
I didn't realize that's what it was for.
Yeah. Yeah. So they use that primarily to practice rescuing people off the river. They have a big airboat, and then the fire
that's really
department, all that
cool.
stuff comes down. They, do rehearsals.
It didn't always used to be owned by the state. I remember because that sign at the gate wasn't always there. The gate wasn't always there. It used to be before y'all bought the property, you could drive down there freely and fish. You could launch a kayak if you wanted to. You could park right there underneath the bridge, and nobody messed with your stuff.
Sure.
And then once upon a time, I went down there to launch a kayak, go do some fishing, and it was locked up, and it had a sign that said property of the state of Texas or whatever it says. I don't remember what it says, but you're not supposed to go down there anymore. I still do, but I make sure I don't stay down there.
Right. So I think it was always owned by the state of Texas. It was just, there was, I think, some confusion about who maintained it, because the county would kind of do the trash and stuff. And since so many people did go down there, because when we bought the property, which is right next to it, there would be hundreds of people down there, and they made just the piles of trash and stuff was awful.
So that's why
and
they
I
shut
think
it
that's
down.
why it gradually started getting shut down. Then once we bought the property next to it, they became more, I think, vigilant about patrolling it. And then it was so full of garbage and stuff that finally one day the gate was put up there.
I see.
So we just came one weekend and like, oh, they put a gate that says you're really not supposed to go down there.
Right.
Even though the gate's open.
Yeah, it's almost open all the time, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. But occasionally we see the game warden and the sheriff go down there and see
So they
who's
do
down
patrol.
there. They do.
Do you know what kind of penalty you might face for getting caught down there?
No, I think first you would get a warning. You might get a ticket at some point. You know what I mean?
When I was a kid, that was one of my all-time favorite fishing spots.
Yes, and we used to take our kayaks there when we lived in Arlington and put in there too, and put in. So that's how we knew about the
It was a
property.
very common one.
Right, and that's how we knew about that property, because when Brian saw that it had come up for sale, we were like, "Hey, that's that place
I know
right
that place.
next to
Yeah.
And that was kind of how we ended up connecting with it again.
When I was a kid, before that concrete bridge came in right next to your property, it was just the old steel trestle bridge. And I remember driving over that bridge. I remember the big thing to do was look at the river, see what the level's like before you get to the campground. And I remember one weekend the campground was shut down. I don't remember why, But me and my dad, we were so disappointed. We just wanted to get on the river and cook some food and do some camping. And so we were turned around. We were headed home, and I suggested, Dad, why don't we go down underneath the bridge? There's a little pathway that leads down there. There's not now, obviously, but there used to be a little pathway that you could take that would lead right down to a little cliff, and the water was maybe 25 feet down below the edge of where we stopped. But we stopped there and we built a fire and we did some fishing and we cooked dinner, and it wasn't camping, but it was pretty close. And it was something I'll never forget, because when we left, my dad, as he was pulling back up the pathway to get back on the highway, he stopped right there by that big rock face. And I got out for just a second. I don't remember what for. I forgot something, or I was putting something away. But I found a pair of combat boots sitting on a rock right there by the truck. When I got out of the truck, and I grabbed the combat boots, and I threw them in the truck, my new boots, and they fit like a glove. And just something on that I'll never forget. And then that concrete bridge came in, and that little spot disappeared, but I'll never forget about it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, see, for me, that both bridges have always been there.
There was a couple sets of initials.
Remember.
One of them was mine, and one of them was a
Aw.
girl's, and they were carved into a tree inside of a heart right there. And
Oh, nice.
bunch of little stuff, bunch of little memories in that spot.
Yeah, yeah. It's a beautiful area, you
It
know,
sure
and there's
is.
lots of, you know, we always joke with people about making memories, you know, when stuff, you know, sometimes stuff goes sideways or whatever, when you're on the
Right.
river or whatever, you know, you
Oh, yeah.
forget things or whatever, you know, and it's like, well, you're making memories. And, you know, that's really what
That's
it is,
right.
that you just get your kids out there, because it's one of the few places that's close to the Metroplex where you can come and be on a river in a natural setting and rent kayaks and canoes or tube, or just come hang out and look at everything without having to drive all the way, you know,
Oh, yeah.
farther. It's
Yeah.
within an hour in most
Yeah, that area
areas.
was definitely one that I would go to escape during college.
Oh, yeah. And there's so much to do there now between Dinosaur Valley State Park, Fossil Rim. Just the town of Glen Rose has a lot of really terrific things now.
A lot of rich history too.
Yes, yes.
Can you talk for just a second about all the buildings that are made with petrified wood? Do you know about that?
Oh, I know a little bit about it, but not too much. But there's that wonderful old gas station that's made from petrified wood, which we love. We drive past and look at it all the time. And you see the old houses and stuff that still have
They're
some of that in
everywhere,
there.
yeah.
Yeah. hmm And how that used to be a big
chunks of crystal, too.
moonshining area and stuff too.
Oh yeah, there was a huge moonshining community
yeah.
there.
We were talking about that earlier today with someone, because we almost named our property Whiskey Woods, and we decided not to. But now
Whiskey Woods.
now there's a restaurant in Glen Rose called Whiskey Woods.
Really?
Mhm.
Is that what they called it back then? Was Whiskey Woods?
I think that might have been a nickname for that area.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean.
Because they
See,
were
I didn't
making a
know
lot of
that.
moonshine
I
back
didn't know
then.
it was actually referred to as, I didn't know there was a nomenclature for it.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, so it's got quite a history, and there is a book about that era in Glen Rose, and like there was a big raid, I guess, a big raid during Prohibition.
Do you know the name of the book?
I don't, because the guy whose friend wrote it was at our place today, and he was like, "Oh, I need to give you the name of the book," But I'm pretty sure that it is sold in some of the little bookstores downtown Glen Rose, because I remember
I'm
seeing
sure.
it. And right now, I'm reading the John Graves book about
Goodbye to a River. It's my
yeah.
favorite book.
So I'll probably do the other one next.
So
but-
in the book, you'll pick up on this. He talks about how October is the month to go if you
Yeah.
can get away.
yeah,
And when he says if you can get away, he's talking about the aircraft factories in town and
oh,
all
yeah.
the things that pulled people away from the river.
Yeah.
I actually have a quote on my Facebook profile about a time on the Brazos River that no longer exists, of what people could do or experience when they were on the river. And I don't think I'm going to be able to come up with it in any amount of time that would be suitable to discuss on the show, because I'm currently trying to, and it's just not. Oh, here it is. I found it. Looky there. And so you'd go into these little towns that there used to be along the river, and there'd be a guy playing music on some kind of instrument, and these girls that would take their clothes off if you gave them a little bit of your money. But I used to give them $1 or $3 if they were nice to look at, and they'd pull my finger. They didn't always pull my finger, though, and I didn't always fart, so sometimes I get my dollars back. That's an excerpt from a story about living along the Brazos River and the type of enjoyment you could find if you went into town. Just favorite book of mine. Anyway, sorry.
I think that we've come a long way.
We definitely have.
Since
We
then.
definitely have. You don't have to walk up and down the river with a metal pail to sell bait anymore. That
Right.
used to be the thing of the day back then. You'd walk around up and down the river. You'd get your own bait, and then you'd sell it to the people that were fishing.
Oh yeah. Well, now you just come to our place.
Now,
'cause we
that's
sell
right.
it.
Now you just go to the local
That's
Sir
right.
Stay Grow and get some
Yeah.
bait or get some
We've got
Vienna
minnows,
sausages.
worms, yeah, shad, chicken livers. What's the other? Shrimp.
Y'all sell shrimp?
catfish bait. Yeah.
What is the most popular bait that you sell there? Is it night crawlers or is it shrimp?
Night crawlers or the minnows?
Yep.
Night
For
crawlers
sure.
or minnows. My grandfather, he would not spend good money on worms or
Worms.
firewood. He would go out and find his own every time.
Yeah.
If my okay, so my grandfather, my mom, and her brothers, my uncles, if they wanted to go fishing, they had to go dig up their own bait. Paul was not going to go to the local
Yeah.
grocery store and spend perfectly good
Good
money
money.
on worms.
Oh, right. Brian's the same way too. They used to make them. They'd go out there and
Find their own.
worms. Yep, and frogs and stuff.
Well, I mean, I don't.
They grew up on a farm.
It's
so-
there for the taking. That's what it's for.
Right. Yeah.
I ain't gonna eat it.
But some people it's a last minute thing. Like they'll come to Glen Rose to do like maybe go to Fossil Rim, go to Bay Jones Valley, and then they see the river and they'll stop last
why
minute
not?
and go fishing. And we have all the stuff they need. We have poles, we've got bait, we've got we can get them all set up, minnow buckets. All
Do
that
y'all
sort of
sell
stuff.
cane poles?
Uh-huh.
You do?
We do have a
Do
few
y'all,
cane poles. Yeah.
Have you ever used one?
Yeah. When I was a kid, I caught a dogfish once.
Out,
That's
on,
like
on
my
the
one
Gulf?
fishing experience. I think it was when I lived in Florida. As a little girl, I lived in Florida.
You're one fishing. You live in a campground.
I know. I don't go fishing though. Really, no.
I can't relate to that. I can't imagine what that's
I
like.
know. Well, I know. You know how it is. It's like hairdressers don't even get their hair done, right? Chefs don't cook at home.
Mechanics
No,
don't
they
work
don't.
on
you
their own
work
cars.
when I work at a river property, and I don't go fishing. But
I can't imagine that. I just can't relate to that. But the book you're reading, John Graves' Goodbye to a
Uh-huh.
River, the bridge out over the Brazos River in Millsap is actually named the John Graves Scenic Waterway.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I need to go down there and look at it. Then.
Now, they only built 3 of the proposed 5 dams that you read about in that book. They built Possum Kingdom, they built Granbury, and they built Whitney, but there were supposed to be 2 more. And did you know that it was absolutely necessary to build those dams? They had to tame that river for the sake of civilization itself. At one time, that river was 6 miles wide
really?
during a flood. They
Wow.
absolutely had to
Well,
turn that monster into a stream.
Yeah, I guess I could see that because we've had some time since we bought it when it has come up
Mhm.
pretty high and filled in
Significantly.
on our whole bottom area, and it's
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
amazing when the river. It's amazing. It's just really a living, breathing thing, and every day
Mhm.
you look at it, it's different.
Oh, yeah,
so you walk
living-
down there and see it.
Yeah, living on a river. I grew up on the Colorado River, and going over those bridges. I mean, you're looking far down at the water most of the time. But then when you're not, you are not. It is coming up above that bridge, and it's just
Wow.
like, how did it grow that big?
Right. Yeah. So it's
But-
really fascinating. It really is cool to live near the water like that.
It's
and
never the
see
same
it.
river twice.
Right. Exactly. Every morning when you walk down there, it's a little
It's
different.
always a
Something's
little bit
yeah.
different. That's right.
Different fish, different critters, the fog, the way the sun is, the clouds. It's beautiful.
Have you done any metal detecting on your property?
Yes. Yeah.
Have you found anything of note?
Oh, some jewelry and stuff. And if you
Anything good, like solid gold, silver, anything good?
no.
No.
Not that I want to say, but Brian would be the one to do that. He's the metal detector. And he's gone out in the river, and of course, people lose an
People lose a
amazing amount
lot
of
of
things in the
things.
water. Lots of
Mhm.
phones. We find lots of telephones.
We do-
Phones, keys.
Between-
Jewelry, keys, yep. Mhm.
Between Diana and myself, we run Blue Diver Search and Recovery. So
Oh.
our full-time job is going out in the
Looking for
rivers,
stuff.
lakes, looking for things that people lose in the water. We have found a lot of stuff of note. In fact, we're getting ready to do the Great American Treasure Hunt this summer. Are
Oh,
you
really?
familiar with Forrest Finn?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
You remember his treasure hunt that he
Mhm.
did?
Yeah.
We're doing something similar this summer on a
Really?
very much smaller scale, where we're going to hide an actual treasure somewhere on Eagle Mountain Lake, and we're going to
Fun.
post a poem in the local group with the
Mhm.
clues, with a story, and then we're going to have a Q&A session here on the show where you can call in and ask one question about the treasure and its location, and I'll give you an honest answer.
So is this open to the public, like to
Yeah.
everybody?
Yes, everybody. Yeah.
Really? Oh.
It'll be on land because everybody has to have a shot. There's not going to be any diver treasure yet. There will be, but not this year. And I wanted to ask what y'all would think about potentially hiding a treasure somewhere
Oh,
at the Brazos Outdoor Center.
Yes, we would love to do
It would
that.
it would be definitely be
love
a
to-
metal detector treasure. You'd have to have a metal detector to find it.
Oh, yes.
But you can anybody that wants in on it is free to enjoy it.
Sure.
And it'll be an actual treasure. The one we're hiding this year is going to have gold. It's going to have silver that I found in the river, that we found in the river.
Old
It's got
coins.
The old coins that we found in Lake Worth.
Nice.
It's going to have a Discover Scuba course from A Scuba. And what was the most recent thing that we had donated? Do you remember? Oh, it was a free weekend camping or kayak trip through Brazos Rock Camp and Kayak out in Millsap. Are you familiar with them?
No.
They're a place like you. They're a
Uh-huh.
small campground, less than 3 acres on the river. And it's just a cool place to go hang out on the weekends. Bring your kayak, bring your tube, bring your family, bring your dog, and leave your problems at home. That's what
Yeah.
it's all about.
Cool.
There is adventure outside your front door.
There is.
That's what this
yes.
show is all
Mhm.
about. Get out there and find it.
Mhm.
And anything that we can do to further that notion to get people off their computer, off the phone, off the TV, off the couch, get outside
Yes.
and get you some adventure. Because at the end of the day, we said this last week, at the end of the day, all you're left with is the getting there. That's it.
Yep.
The destination doesn't matter. Nothing that happens after that matters. All you're left with is the getting there and the memories.
Yeah, and one of the best things about owning that place is when kids come, people bring their kids and how excited their kids are just to see the river, to see the fish, even just the smallest things, to look for rocks. They just love it.
See those memories being made.
Yeah. Because when I was a kid, I was outside a lot. We had horses and stuff, so
Oh,
I spent,
same.
outside kind of person. So we didn't, got home when we were outside the door immediately. My parents were just like, "See you later,"
Oh yeah. Grew up on a
And so-
couple acres. It was very much just go outside.
Yeah, so definitely any activity that will get you out of the house and off your phone for sure is beneficial.
Absolutely. It atrophies your brain.
It does.
It atrophies your brain. It wears your brain out. The gray matter turns blue. You're not using your body or your brain to the max of its capabilities. You're sitting on your ass watching TV, eating Fritos and Cheetos.
Yeah.
I mean, that's no way to live.
Right, and you're
That's-
not being present and enjoying what's happening
Right.
to
You're
you
not
right
present
now.
in the moment. I mean, you are, but you're sitting in a beanbag chair. But come on. You can do better than that, right?
Mhm. Yep.
There's adventure out there. There's things to see. There's things to do. There's new experiences you've never had. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah, and all those things that you do outside and enjoying nature and just looking at the wildlife and the world around
Stars.
you
Wildlife.
relaxes you and minimizes stress. Where
That's
being
right.
on the phone and the thing, I think social media and all that's more anxiety inducing.
It
And
is.
Now, what we were
when you're
talking about
outside.
just before you showed up was geocaching. Do you know about that?
oh yeah. Mhm.
Do y'all have any of that taking place on your property?
No,
you
but
think?
Brian has wanted to do it because he has talked the same
Really?
thing about. Yeah. Oh, you're kidding, Brian. He loves that stuff. So he's talked about,
Creating one.
creating one. Yes.
I
Mhm.
think between the minds of Blue Diver Search and Recovery and the Brazos Outdoor Center, we should sit down and powwow about this.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
We should have a brain dump session.
It would be fun.
That's what the station owner here calls it
A
when
brain
she
dump.
comes up with ideas. She's so freaking good at it too. She calls it a brain dump. I'd never heard of it until I met her. But I think we should sit down and
Yeah, I think that'd
talk
be fun.
about this.
Mhm. Yeah,
You know
that'd be fun.
what?
Plan it out.
Bottle of whiskey and a campfire.
There you go.
I'm saying this could be. I mean, this could be great. This
Mhm.
could
Whiskey
turn into
works.
something great. It's like an Easter egg hunt that doesn't have to be Easter to do it.
Right, exactly.
It'd be a lot of fun.
Mhm.
And we could actually bury these. The
Yes.
geocaching that we were talking about earlier.
Mhm.
Apparently, you're not allowed or supposed to bury them.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
you're supposed to just hide them like
Right.
under a rock
Yeah,
or in a cave.
from what I was reading earlier, it's supposed to be accessible to everybody, so not buried. Because a lot of people wouldn't, especially like older, younger, wouldn't be able to do
Yeah,
that.
mhm.
Or, so it's supposed to be for everyone. Same thing with like what you put inside of it. You're not supposed to put anything illegal, anything too
Oh.
adult, no alcohol,
No drugs.
because there are children that do this
Right.
as well.
Mhm.
So keep it very family friendly and accessible.
Yeah, we participated in one of those for a while. We had the thing and we were searching for them in Arlington. I remember finding one, take something out, you put something in or whatever. They're
Uh-huh.
one of those. Yeah,
Mhm.
we've
Trinkets?
done it. Mhm. Yeah.
Right on. What did you find? What was the
I'm trying
trinket
to
that you
think. I'm
chose?
trying to remember now what it was. I'm not sure I remember even. I'm sorry to say.
No,
Been
that's
a
all
while.
right.
It could have been a rock or something like that, like a stone or
Mhm.
something like that. I don't really recall.
Now, it's not just your property there on the river where we could hide these geocaches. We've got the entire face of the river out here. We've got the rocks, we've got the water, we've got the island, the little sandbar,
Right.
we got the cliff across the river,
Mhm.
we've got how many hollow logs? I mean, come on. We don't even have to get creative with it. God did it for us.
That's right.
We
Mhm.
could do a real bona fide, no kidding treasure
in the
hunt.
trees.
Yeah.
Because we got lots of trees.
We could build a fake bird's nest and put it in the tree and put the treasure in the nest.
There you go.
Yeah, and then
I
write
don't
a
think
poem
that's.
about it.
I think that'd be considered the same as buried. That's not super accessible to people.
Well, it'd be within arm's reach.
Okay, as long as it's within arm.
Yeah, not a really high nest. We're not talking squirrels here.
Okay, you said build a bird's nest, and I'm just like, wait, how high are we putting this?
Yeah, I think it'd be
We're
fun.
trying not
I
to
think it
hurt
would be a
people.
blast. I
Yeah.
think we need to get with Brian and talk about this.
For sure.
Because there's definitely, I'm on to something here, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be a big deal for your customers.
Mhm.
That could be a big deal for my customers.
Yeah.
Prospective customers for both of us.
Yeah, we did do a little scavenger hunt in our place once. Like we hid for the kiddos.
Tell
we
me how
hid-
that went.
We hid like little dinosaur statues
Yeah.
all
Cute.
through their property, and then when they would bring them in, they would get a prize for
Oh, that's
finding all
awesome.
the
What
stuff,
kind of
you know what I
prize
mean?
did you give? Like candy bar or something?
We gave them like a little goodie bag, a little
Mm.
swag bag full of stuff, candy and like those little snap bracelets and little dinosaur rings and little dino stuff,
You know, those snap bracelets are just pieces of old tape measures, right? That's how they recycle tape measures.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, so it was fun. It was a big hit. The kids really liked it.
How long ago
Enjoyed
did you do that?
I think it might have been 2 summers ago. It was last summer.
We could
I
do
think.
an annual Brazos Outdoor Center treasure hunt.
Mhm.
We could call it not Easter eggs, but maybe a dinosaur egg. Something to do with dinosaur eggs.
Yeah, that's what they call some of those big round rocks on the river. Like as you float down,
at
you
Big
see
Rock
the
Park?
dinosaur eggs. Between us and the 8.5-mile takeout, as you go paddle down the river, you go through one section. There's like a row of these big round like boulders along the river, and we call them dinosaur eggs.
No
And there's
kidding.
usually waterfall that falls behind it too if there's been rain. So it's a really pretty section.
So let me tell you about my favorite place on the Brazos River.
Okay.
It's about 3 miles up from where your place is.
Okay.
Currently, you can only get there by kayak. You're not allowed to get in on the property where we used to go all the time. Breaks my heart. They've sold it to a gravel company, and it'll
Oh,
soon
man.
be completely demolished.
Oh.
And it just breaks my heart because it's such a wonderful place and such a wonderful ranch. Anyway, there's a place across the river from that, and it's hidden unless you know it. The branches just kind of blend in perfectly, where if you're looking at it from out here, you'll never know it's there.
Oh.
But if you know it's there and you can fight your way through a couple branches, there's this path. It looks like Fern Gully. There's this path that leads all the way up to this moss-covered limestone cliff.
Oh.
It's hundreds of years old. The limestone, as you know, as water runs over it, it smooths out,
Mhm.
and it's just a big, flat, moss-covered cliff of limestone that has a spring. Well, I'll get to that in a
Oh.
second. It's got moss growing all down it. When the sunlight hits it, it's just absolutely gorgeous.
Really?
Yeah.
Does it have a little waterfall there? Because like if you from our 5.5-mile put in, if you paddle down toward us on the left-hand side, there is, especially if there's been rain, there's a nice little waterfall. And we had some girls take a really great photograph of it, which you put on our Facebook page.
This is upriver from you on the
Mhm.
right.
Oh, that's on the right. So this waterfall's on the left. So this is on a different.
Right.
The other
And it's not
side.
even a waterfall. My entire
just
life,
a
I believed
rock.
it was.
It's just green, mossy rock.
My entire life, I believed that this was a
Wow.
beautiful freshwater spring that just flowed forth with the cleanest water. It tasted so good, and clear. And one day I climbed all the way up to the top because I wanted to find out where it was coming from.
Mhm.
A freaking garden hose. There's a garden
Oh.
hose laying up there.
Oh.
And the last
Wah,
time,
wah.
the last 2 times I was there, I got injured. The first time was I got a cedar splinter right here in my hand. And when I pulled my hand away, I thought it pulled the splinter out. It didn't. It broke off in my hand. So I went to the doctor. Oh, yeah, it's infected. Here, take this antibiotic. Did that 6 times and nothing changed. And then I went back the 7th time and the PA, the physician's assistant, oh, yeah, there's still a splinter in there. Soak it in Epsom salt. It'll come out. So I'm the only person you'll ever meet with a palm piercing. It went in right there and it came out right there.
Oh, wow.
And the second time, I've got this nice little scar up here on my scalp where another branch reached out and
Oh,
scraped
yeah.
my skin back about an inch.
Oof.
And I had to paddle 3 miles back down to your place. And
Pouring blood.
Bleeding
yeah,
profusely.
pouring
'cause your
blood.
head bleeds like crazy.
yeah,
Right.
nothing bleeds like a head wound.
Right.
And the buddy that I
Sure.
was with said, just rinse it off. The water hadn't flowed in 3 days. It was stagnant and it stunk.
Oh,
Yeah.
There was no way I was putting my head
no.
underwater, and I wasn't even going to get my hat wet. I wouldn't have made it home. I'd have probably gotten
Yeah,
that
but see, making memories.
brain-eating bacteria.
Making memories.
Making memories. You got a good story to tell.
That's right. And I got the scars too to prove it. So if I wanted to, I could shave my hair back right there and you'd see it. It looks like a little ravine.
Oh,
Yeah, that
like
somebody.
you're Harry Potter.
That's well, I've got a lightning bolt scar right here.
There you go.
That happened at a tire shop just down the road when I was 23 years old. Actually got hit in the face with a hammer.
Oh.
I say that, but I hit myself in the face with a hammer.
Okay.
It's not untrue. It just leaves out some facts.
Yeah.
I was working. I was busting tires. I was, cutting my teeth in a mechanic shop, and I had seen Big Paul do this 100 times, but there's a reason they call him Big Paul. We were doing 18-wheeler tires. And there's no machine for taking an 18-wheeler tire off the rim. You do it by hand with these long metal poles called spoons that are flat on one end. And you work the tire around the rim manually. You spray it with soapy water and you work it around. Well, there was this chunk of the tire that was maybe 4 inches wide that just no matter what I did, I could not get it to break over the edge of the rim. And I saw Big Paul. Again, I'll tell you, Big Paul used to grab this big duck-billed hammer. It had a big flat square face on one end and a long claw on the back.
Ooh.
And he picked that thing up, and I saw him throw it over his shoulder like John Henry and beat the tire with it. And it worked every time. And I picked it up, maybe a third of Big Paul's size, if I'm lucky. And I swung it down on that rubber. And the first time I got lucky, it bounced off to the side. The second time I didn't get so lucky. It bounced straight back and hit me between the eyes. Oh, it hurt so bad. I went into the office and Little Paul was in the office. Little Paul took me to the bar and got me a drink. I think he probably got me 2 or 3 drinks before we went to the hospital and I got sewn up. But let me tell you, I've never took anything Big Paul did for granted ever again. Don't think I will either.
Nope.
So how long have you owned that campground? And is it for sale?
Oh, is it for sale? I think anything's for sale for the right price.
Anything
We'd be willing to part with it. Yeah.
That's not untrue. I mean, you're not wrong.
Right.
But I know y'all have investors looking at it now.
Sure.
Are you looking to take it nationwide? Like, are you trying to become a nationwide known campground?
I don't think so. We'd like to be known nationally, but I don't know that we were going to do like chain or anything like that. You know what I mean?
It'd be cool if you did.
But we bought the property in 2016, so now it's almost
same year I became a diver.
Is that 2016? Yeah, right. It was the same year.
Yep.
So almost 8 years now. So it's come a long way.
We can't wait to have y'all on the show again sometime. I think we need to get y'all both back in here to discuss a geocaching / treasure hunt on your property.
I agree.
And that's for one thing I am very much looking forward to.
Yes.
Thank you for coming in tonight, and we'll see you again soon. Diana, thank you for coming in.
Have a great night.
Y'all have a wonderful evening. Stay tuned for Kay and Alyssa with High Tea. Sip it, spill it, savor it.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godley, this is the voice of Johnson County, Joco Community Radio. Attention all business owners and creative minds. Do you need a unique and personalized touch for your products? Look no further than Romika Laser Engraving and Custom Designs. I'm Ron Phillips, co-owner of Romika Designs. We offer custom laser engraving services for a variety of products, including promotional items and corporate or personal gifts. With state-of-the-art equipment and a team